I'm fearful that people will try to make more of it than that personal animus he had with Michael Rapaport at that particular moment in time. We don't know what Adam Silver is going to do. And remember, the times that we were living in then, when Kobe made that mistake, these are different times now. And the pressure that potentially could be brought to bear on the league to do something about, specifically what Kevin Durant said, has me concerned. I don't believe it warrants that. I believe that it should have never been publicized. Michael Rapaport was wrong for doing that. But I also think that Kevin Durant was immature and foolish for saying what he said. And you know, he last night he apologized for it being public. He doesn't want people to know that he talks like that or whatever. So it was like a non-apology apology. I'm worried because I don't know what the NBA is going to do because of the times that we're living in. But me, myself, you arguing with Michael Rapaport, you wanted to insult him. It's between him and you. And because the stuff got out, and that wasn't Kevin Durant's fault at all, the bottom line is I think it should be nothing more than a fine.
There should definitely be a fine. There, at least there needs to be a punishment.
Yeah.
Two things I noticed about KD's response. Then I want to address some of the stuff
Sure.
you said. Number one is, as you mentioned, he didn't apologize for using the language. He apologized for others hearing what he said in private publicly.
Right.
Right. The other thing is, and the reason he really needs to be punished is there was a threat in the direct message.
Mm-hmm.
There was a threat. If you say you're going to show up and spit on somebody, I can't wait to see you in person, etc., that's a threat. Mm-hmm. Once you get to a threat, that's an automatic punishment. And you put it in writing, too. Now, KD may have thought, look, we're handling this between two people.
Yeah. That's exactly what he thought.
Right. And I understand why he would think that. You put it in writing. If you threaten someone in writing and they choose to make that public, that's your problem. Shouldn't have put it in writing, I guess. When you say the gay community, if the gay community takes offense, then to me the problem with that is the gay community is not a monolith.
Correct.
You know, saying black people, Jewish people, white people, Asian people, gay people, whatever group you want to mention, they're not a monolith. There are individuals within that group who think very differently, even opposite each other, right? And so to me, it's really about just being socially conscious and doing the right thing. That means all of us. So the language he used, which is now public, that needs to be punished, and the threat needs to be punished. And furthermore, the issue I have is that KD, as you touched on both before the show started on air and just now, he doesn't seem, I don't think he doesn't understand. I think he's not sorry, it sounds to me, for the actual language used or for the threat. He's sorry that, what he's saying is, I would never say that publicly. And I respect that because we all behave differently behind closed doors. Those are called backroom issues versus front room issues, right? Sociologically speaking. We use different language, we have different behavior in our private lives, and that's no one's business as long as we're not hurting anybody. If that becomes public, now you have some explaining to do. And all he is talking about is that he's sorry it became public. He wouldn't do that in public. But now, because it's public, people have a right to know, well, hold on, KD, you think that's okay in private? Because the reason it's an issue is what we're really saying is that's not okay in private.
In fairness to Kevin Durant, I think it's important to point this out. I don't think that he's saying what he said is okay to say in private. I think his mentality is, I'm not talking about, I didn't mean any harm whatsoever to the gay community or anything. I'm talking about that dude, Michael Rapaport. That's who I was directing my comments at, specifically to him. Yes, I'm not talking about anybody else. And I think that's why he was unapologetic. I surmise, I haven't spoken to him. I surmise that's why he was unapologetic, because his ire was directed at one specific individual, whereas with Donald Sterling was like, hey, why you gotta hang around with black people? I mean, what do you get out of it? I mean, why is it important for you to be around black people? Okay, and so that you're generalizing and you're castigating an entire community, and you're really showing us that plantation mentality that we assumed you had to begin with, and it just got confirmed via a secret taped conversation with your mistress. In the case of Kevin Durant's mentality is, I was cussing out this dude.
But here's the problem with that.
And I'm not saying, no. I'm not saying it's not a problem. I'm saying to get to your point about what Kevin Durant was non-apologetic about. I think what he was non-apologetic about is the fact that I'm aiming it towards him. I don't have a problem with anybody but him.
But here's the issue, and this is what I mean by just if you're socially conscious. You don't have to be gay or black or Asian or whatever to say, wait a minute, that's not okay with me, even though I'm not a member of that group. We simply empathize.
Right.
And if you empathize with people in a group, then you say, wait a minute. Well, from that point of view, even if you're directing it at an individual, what you're saying is there's something wrong with being that, right? If you're using anti-gay language to go at somebody, implicit in that is there's something wrong with being gay. So what KD really should say is something along the lines of, I apologize.
He should have said that last
gay people because I'm not saying there's anything wrong.
He should have said that last
I
night.
used it in a way that intimated that there was something wrong with that, and there's not, even if it's used frequently as an insult.
But do we know that he did it because all we saw was the soundbite they played on TV? See, what I'm saying is, I don't know if Kevin Durant elaborated and actually did say that last night.
Maybe.
And that's not the part that was aired. I don't know that.
And then finally, what we really haven't dealt with is the threat. You just can't threaten people. Right. And if you do even verbally and it gets exposed, you can get in trouble. But you put it in writing. Whether or not you thought he'd ever post it, you did put it in writing. There's got to be something done about that.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.